Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
You can put it on the board. Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all those gigantic and massive cowboy cut, tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. USDA prime Wagyu. Not choice, not Angus, prime Wagyu. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. About 215 stations have access to our wonderful show, as well as everybody on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, Oceanic, and WOW cable television affiliates, as well as hotel TV in over 500,000 rooms in all Nielsen-rated markets. And a big welcome in everybody also on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us over there as well. That's on Facebook, Chicago Food Favorites. Well, folks, we have a little bit of sad news right from the top of the show. And the logo for the NBA, Jerry West, has died at 86. According to CBS Sports, NBA legend, 14-time Laker All-Star, became the logo 8-time champion executive as well. I mean, Jerry West won 9 championships as a player and executive in the NBA. In fact, Jerry West, one of the greatest players in NBA history and a LA Lakers legend, has died at 86. The LA Clippers announced it, by the way. And West is widely regarded as one of the greatest players in NBA history, as well as almost indisputably its greatest executive. His silhouette is used as the logo for the NBA. And of course, Adam Silver issued a statement regarding the loss of the icon. Quote, Jerry West was a basketball genius and a defining figure in our league for more than 60 years. He distinguished himself not only as an NBA champion, an all-star in 14 of his playing seasons, but also as the consummate competitor who embraced the biggest moments. He was the league's first finals MVP and made rising to the occasion his signature quality, earning him the nickname Mr. Clutch. Jerry West's 4 decades with the Lakers also includes a successful stint as a head coach and a remarkable run in the front office that cemented his reputation as one of the greatest executives in sports history. He helped build 8 championship teams during his tenure in the NBA, a legacy of achievements that mirrors his on-court excellence. And he will be enshrined this October into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame as a contributor, becoming the first ever inductee as both a player and a contributor. Adam Silver goes on to say, I value my friendship with Jerry and the knowledge he shared with me over many years about basketball and life. And on behalf of the NBA, we send our deepest condolences to Jerry's wife, Karen, his family, and his many friends in the NBA community, close quote. Now, Jerry West, in case you don't know, he was born in West Virginia way back in 1938 and went on to become a college basketball star at West Virginia University. And he led the Mountaineers to a national championship game in 1959 and earned the Final Four Most Outstanding Player award despite losing in that game. And the Lakers would go on to draft him number 2 overall in 1960 with only Olympic teammate and fellow NBA legend Oscar Robertson going ahead of him. That's pretty good company. He and Elgin Baylor were the first great Lakers after the team's move to Los Angeles. West reached the All-Star game in all 14 of his NBA seasons and took the Lakers to the finals 9 times. Unfortunately, West Lakers existed at the height of the Boston Celtics dynasty led by Bill Russell, and the Lakers went on to be 1-8 in the finals during Jerry West's career. But he was so good that he won Finals MVP also in 1969 despite losing the series. And Jerry West ultimately did earn that elusive first ring as a player in 1972, and that was also the season in which he led the Lakers to a record 33 consecutive wins. Imagine that, folks. 33 wins, and I don't care what sport it is. I don't care how you're competing. Imagine 33 wins in a row. That's pretty significant. In fact, that season would prove to be the high point of his NBA career and would retire as a player 2 years later, 1974. And that did not, however, mean he was leaving the Lakers. Now, Jerry West took over as the team's coach in 1976. He went 145 and 101 in 3 seasons, but the Lakers never reached the finals in that stretch. In 1979, however, he joined the front office as a scout. And in 1982, he became the general manager. This proved to be the defining move of his post-playing career as Jerry West grew into a legendary executive. In fact, the Lakers reached the NBA Finals 12 times between 1980 and Jerry West's departure in 2002. So he got there 12 times out of 22 times. That's unbelievable. They won 6 championships in that span. Among Jerry's most notable moves was the choice to draft James Worthy, number 1, the hiring of Phil Jackson in 1999, and of course, perhaps the single most consequential trade in NBA history, his 1996 deal that sent Vlade Divac to the Charlotte Hornets for the draft rights to Kobe Bryant, which in turn created the cap space the Lakers would need to sign Shaquille O'Neal. And that single move built the foundation of Jerry West's last 3 Lakers championships, as well as 2 more that followed within him. In 2002, Jerry West decided to work for his first NBA team besides the Lakers when he became the general manager of the Memphis Grizzlies. At the time, he cited a desire to build a winning franchise from the ground up after spending so much time with the marquee franchise. And sure enough, his arrival sparked the first successful stretch in Grizz history. And the team has never reached the playoffs before Jerry West was hired. They made it 3 times in his 5 seasons in Memphis. That's unbelievable. In fact, the Grizz were the last team that West directly ran as general manager, but he remained involved in the front office just so he could stay there and work for the rest of his life. In 2011, he joined the Golden State Warriors as a member of their executive board. And of course, we know what happened there. In 2015, the Warriors won their first championship in over 40 seasons, thanks in part to Jerry West's contributions, and it reportedly was one of the top office figures that pushed back on the idea of trading Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. At the time, a decision that was by no means a consensus in basketball circles at the time, but one that helped the Warriors grow into a dynasty. In fact, in 2016, he was instrumental in recruiting Kevin Durant to the Warriors as a free agent. And Durant would win 2 titles with the Warriors, but West was with the team for only the first of them. Now, his final stop at the NBA was in the city he spent most of his career. That would be Los Angeles, joining the Clippers in 2017 in a similar role to the one he had held with Golden State, and was involved in the free agency recruiting of Kawhi Leonard. And he had held the title with the Clippers until he had died. West is the second NBA icon to die in the last few weeks. Another LA basketball icon, which was Bill Walton, died just weeks before at the age of 71. Hall of Famer Chet Walker also passed away less than a week ago on June 8th. And the basketball world has endured several losses of late, and Jerry West will be felt as deeply as any it has ever experienced. And from his emergence as a college star in the 1950s, through his work as a consultant all the way through the 2020s with the Clippers, Jerry West spent the better part of 7 decades as an important figure within the sport of basketball. Modern NBA practically never existed without his involvement in some capacity, but now the league will say goodbye to one of its all-time legends. To Jerry West, one of the best. And you know what I liked about Jerry West was that I love the fact that he went over to Memphis to be a part of a ground-up build. And I love that because, I mean, let's face it, they were Vancouver, but they didn't really do anything there. And they moved to Memphis, and basically it was a ground-up build. Now, the one thing, he brought in Phil Jackson in 1999. Now, mind you, Phil Jackson is a coach of opportunity. He walked into the Chicago Bulls situation with a team already built by Doug Collins. Doug Collins built that Chicago Bulls team. Needless to say, they won 6 titles. Phil was there to basically keep the pieces in place, but Doug Collins was the one that built it. Now, Phil Jackson was brought in to handle the Shaq and Kobe situation, which is great for him because they've got more championships there. Well, the reality is Phil Jackson never built anything from the ground up. Remember, after leaving the Lakers, he went to the New York Knicks where he won a championship as a player. And Phil Jackson failed miserably in New York with the Knickerbockers. And guess what? Phil has proven that he cannot build anything. Ironically, Phil was brought in by the logo, and we're going to get into the logo in the next segment. He was brought in by the logo, Jerry West, and it was Jerry that was the guy that could build from the ground up. Phil Jackson was simply a coach of opportunity. Sorry, folks, I don't think he was a great coach. I think he was a good manager of personnel, but that's about it. Phil Jackson never built a team from the ground up. Jerry West deserves all the credit. And frankly, Phil Jackson, just take your 10 rings and go right off into the sunset and do whatever it is that you do, because it's obvious you don't know how to build a basketball team like the great Jerry West. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Folks, make sure you check out TheSportsCircus.com for our upcoming guest, our prior guest, our recorded shows, which are our podcasts. No, we don't do a podcast. They just happen to be our full recorded shows in their entirety on all those platforms like Apple and Audible and Amazon and Google and what else we have? Jeez, we've got Spotify and Libsyn and Pandora. You can't get away from us, folks. Anyway, we're everywhere. Also, make sure you, when you're at TheSportsCircus.com, check out the partners page. And we say it every show because we've been doing this for many, many years. But we also want to acknowledge one of our longtime partners, and that's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. That's CSNCoyotes.com. CSNCoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. And folks, in case you don't know anything about them right here in the Las Vegas Valley, you know they're athletes around the United States of America. And of course, one of the very popular athletes that came out of the College of Southern Nevada was Bryce Harper. And Bryce Harper, of course, superstar for the Philadelphia Phillies. And one hell of a guy he's really matured into. One hell of a guy. And I'll tell you what, there's been so many professional baseball players come out of the College of Southern Nevada. It's unbelievable. Check them out at CSNCoyotes.com. That's CSNCoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. And that's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right. Welcome back to everybody listening in on our radio and television affiliates. Big welcome into our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in to everybody up and down the West Coast from Southern California all the way up to Seattle, all the way over to Chicago and down through Houston and Dallas and a whole bunch of points in between. Big hello to our friends over in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, that's home of the Atlanta Braves, all the way over to Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM, and a whole bunch of others up and down the East Coast, all the way up to Maine. Yes, you can't get away from us. All right. So it was Jerry West, the passing of Jerry West, a nice little article from CBS Sports in the first segment. And, you know, some people ask, how did Jerry West become the NBA's logo? And why the league never officially admitted it was him? Now, that's kind of interesting. So the NBA created the logo way back in 1969 using Jerry West's silhouette. So officially, the NBA's logo is blank. We all know that. It's just kind of a silhouette. But it's an anonymous, faceless player dribbling a ball against a red and white background. Interesting. That's the NBA story, and it's sticking to it. Unofficially, however, the logo is well known to be the silhouette of one of the league's first true icons. Of course, that's Jerry West, who we had mentioned in the first segment. Now, in 1969, the NBA hired a brand consultant to create a logo. 1 year earlier, this consultant had done so for Major League Baseball, and the images are strikingly similar. And of course, the baseball logo is also a blank player against a red and white background, just like the NBA's. But the image has no distinguishing stylistic figures. The NBA's logo, however, visibly features a player in the middle of a dribble move. In 2010, the consultant admitted the truth to the LA Times and said, it's Jerry West. Now, more specifically, it's the image of West taken in a photograph back in 1969 by a guy by the name of Wen Roberts. And of course, there's a quote when it said, it had a nice flavor to it, close quote. And he also said, quote, so I took that picture and we traced it. It was perfect. It was vertical. It had a sense of movement. It was just one of those things that clicked, close quote. And that photo, again, taken by Wen Roberts back in 1969. Now, the league itself, however, hadn't been quite as forthcoming. In that same 2010 interview, the consultant offered a charitable explanation for why the league has refused to acknowledge West's status as the logo. He said, quote, "They want to institutionalize it rather than individualize it. It's become such a ubiquitous classic symbol and focal point of their identity and their licensing program that they don't necessarily want to identify it with one player." Close quote. Now, in a 2017 interview with Aaron Dodson of The Undefeated, he offered a more practical possible explanation by saying, quote, "Maybe they thought West would want a fee." Close quotes, he said. In 2021, Commissioner Adam Silver finally relented, if only slightly, by saying, quote, "While it's never been officially declared that the logo is Jerry West," Silver said, "it sure looks like him." Okay, so nonetheless, the irony of all of this is that West would seem unlikely to seek financial gain from the logo itself. In fact, he even told The Jump in 2017 that he wishes the league would change it by saying, quote, "I wish that it had never gotten out that I'm the logo. I really do. I've said it more than once. And it's flattering that it's me. And I know it's me, but it's flattering. But to me, I played in a time when they first started to try to market the league. And there were 5 people they were going to consider. I didn't find out about it until the late commissioner told me about it, Walter Kennedy. And then, obviously, the New York Times had a big article in it. Again, it's flattering. But it's also as if I were the NBA and I would be embarrassed about it. I really would. I don't like anything to call out attention to myself. And when people say that, that's just not who I am, period. If they would want to change it, I wish they would. In many ways, I wish they would." Close quote. And that's by Jerry West on the logo. In fact, there have been pushes for various players to replace Jerry West as the logo. And when Kobe Bryant died in 2020, Kyrie Irving suggested that he becomes the new league face. Michael Jordan's Jumpman logo is similarly iconic silhouette and has been also suggested, and that is, well, its corporate history likely makes that impossible. Now, when West was asked to make a pick to replace him during an appearance on a podcast with Paul George, he refused to put on any other player. He said, "I would never do that. It's disrespectful to other players," West said. So from a business perspective, it's hard to imagine the NBA ever making a change. It's the logo that has become indistinguishable from its brand and history. And even if the logo will outlast West, it isn't how he wants to remember. Quote, "I have often felt what I would like for people to think about me. He was a good guy and cared. That would be it. Nothing more." Close quote. Jerry West said on that particular podcast by Paul George. And of course, well, he'd be remembered for a good deal more than that. But his humility in serving the league's logo for the past 55 years certainly supports that preferred impression, even if he's technically only the one that held that official capacity. So look, folks, you could talk about the logo all you want. And if there was a change to the logo, first of all, I don't like the idea of changing the logo because the logo is iconic as it stands. Think about that. Is it a change from Jerry West thing? Is it a race thing? Is it a Lakers thing? What is it? Who should be considered as a new logo for the NBA? And I have to tell you, first of all, the best players in the world, and Michael Jordan is the first person that comes to mind. Problem is, you've got the Jumpman, which is already on every logo, or better yet, on every jersey anyway, because they're all made by Nike. So it would seem prudent not to have Michael Jordan as a new logo. Now, folks, this is only hypothetical. I absolutely support keeping the logo as it stands with Jerry West, especially now that he's gone, and I believe that it makes the most sense in the world. But if they were to change it, I would consider the idea of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook as one hell of a logo change, because that is an iconic move. Nobody else did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook the way he did it. That's his skyhook, his patented move, And honestly, I really believe that one would probably make the most sense. I mean, sure, there are other players that would be maybe logo worthy. Obviously, the Bill Russells, the Wilt Chamberlains of the world. Kobe Bryant, no, because Kobe Bryant didn't play much defense, despite what it says and his record about being a defensive player. He really wasn't. Now, when you were the best player at both ends of the court at the same time, Michael Jordan was the best defensive player and he was the best offensive player. That is logo worthy. Wilt Chamberlain dominated like nobody has dominated. Wilt Chamberlain makes sense. Kareem dominated with that sky hook and nobody could stop it. You couldn't even hope to contain it because he was over everybody. I mean, those are the ones that come to mind. You can't put somebody in there that doesn't have the track record like those guys. And end of day, you can't put a guy like Bill Walton in, rest his soul. I mean, Bill was a great guy, but Bill didn't do enough in the league to be considered that guy. No, it has to be a guy like Jordan, Russell, Chamberlain, or Jabbar. It can't possibly be anybody else. It can't. Sorry, all you Laker fans that say it's going to be Kobe, it's going to be LeBrick. No, it doesn't have to be, because those guys, albeit they're good players, very good players, and Kobe, rest his soul, he was a very good player, best shooter I've ever seen, but he didn't play defense, and he does not deserve the logo on everybody's jersey. All right, folks, back here in a few minutes at the circus. It is a circus, and we prove it every day. Don't go anywhere. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus TheSportsCircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing and always need to stick your fingers to test your blood sugar. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. Apply a discrete sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger sticks. If you are living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes and you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 private insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check.
800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at All Ages Media Programming Television. That's AAMP.TV. Check them out at AAMP.TV. Maybe you want to produce your own show. Maybe you want to have your own podcast. Maybe you want to have your own TV show, your own radio show. Maybe you're just curious and you want more information. Contact AMP TV at info@AAMP for more information. That's info@AAMP.TV for more information. And make sure that you tell them the circus sent you. Nice round of applause for them. Yes. All right, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends, again, over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome into everybody else watching on TV, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and Wow Cable Television, as well as Hotel TV from coast to coast. And folks, we're coming back right here with the Stanley Cup playoffs. In case you've been watching this, you've been watching the ass whooping. It is the Florida Panthers giving the business to the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McJesus. 2-0. It's turning into a good old-fashioned ass whooping as the Florida Panthers are literally punching the Edmonton Oilers in the face, stealing their lunch money, kicking them between the legs, and saying, we'll see you next game because we just beat your ass yet again. So it's always the same thing. This is what happens when a very physical team plays a finesse team. And what's funny is when you look at the finesse team, as in Edmonton, they're trying to beat Florida at their own game, and it's just not working. They're trying to push Florida around. But the funny thing is, Florida's used to playing this kind of style of hockey, even in practice, amongst themselves. So being pushed around by their own teammates is one thing, but trying to be pushed around by the other team, which they know damn well, they've got a couple of guys that will try to throw some muscle around and cause trouble, such as Evander Kane or Darnell Nurse. Well, guess what? Outside of those guys, Edmonton's got nothing physically speaking. And I have to tell you, Edmonton with cheap shots on players, that is the one thing to watch out for in this series. We've seen a lot of that, and Edmonton is starting to really lose their cool in which the way that they play their game. They're getting away from their game. They're taking really bad penalties, knee-on-knee penalties. They're slashing. They're leaving their feet. Leon Draisaitl leaving his feet to throw an elbow. I mean, this is ridiculous. So Edmonton is doing everything they can to not play their game. And right now, Florida Panthers have secured a 2-0 series lead in the Cup Finals. And in fact, recently, forward Evan Rodriguez tallied the go-ahead goal early in the third period to lead the Panthers to a 4-1 win in game number 2 against the Oil. Now, just 3 minutes and 11 seconds into the third period, Rodriguez sent a scorching shot on net right past the blocker side of Stuart Skinner. That would be the very mediocre, at best, Stuart Skinner. And he had initially turned the puck over in the offensive zone, but the Oilers defenseman, Evan Bouchard, gave the puck, right back to Rodriguez, which made the goal possible in the first place. In fact, Rodriguez ended up adding an insurance goal at the 12:26 mark of the third, and he was able to deflect a pass from Anton Lundell into the net to extend Florida's lead 3-1. In fact, Rodriguez scored back-to-back goals, or better yet, goals in back-to-back games to start the Stanley Cup Finals. And he's 30 years old, signed a 4-year, only $12 million contract with Florida in the offseason after spending 2022-23 with the Colorado Avalanche, and has proven to be a massive acquisition for the Panthers. Think about this, folks. They don't make much money in the National Hockey League, and it is easily the toughest sport to play. So these guys are horribly underpaid compared to these other sports. And let's just namingly we'll go with football, because football, they play a little, they rest a little. They play a little, they rest a little. Yeah, I like football too, like everybody else. But they say, well, football's the toughest sport. No, it's not. And even football players will tell you hockey is easily the toughest sport. Hockey is the one sport where a guy can get hit in the face and hit in the mouth with the puck, lose 7 teeth, go get stitched up, never mind the chicklets litter all over the ice, and come right back out and play again. And that's what happens in hockey. In fact, that was Chicago's Duncan Keith and that was in the Stanley Cup playoffs several years back. But that is exactly what happened. Lost 17th on one shot. It was a shot block. That's unbelievable. Nonetheless, back to the finals here. And in a 4-on-4 scenario, Edmonton star Connor McDavid got the odd man rush started in his own zone, and defenseman Matthias Ekholm found himself leading a 3-on-1 in the offensive zone. Ekholm elected to keep the puck himself, ripped the shot past Panthers goalie Sergei Bobrovsky, but couldn't stop it from going through the 5-hole, and that was the only goal that they had. In fact, for the second consecutive game, the game's first goal came on a team's first shot. Midway through the second period, Panthers tied the game with the goal coming courtesy of their blue line. In fact, Panthers defenseman Nico Mikkola was able to beat mediocre Stuart Skinner's glove, and in fact, off a stellar drop pass from Anton Lundell once again. In fact, entering Game 2, Mikkola had registered just a goal and 2 assists during the postseason and hadn't scored since Game 5 of the Florida's opening round against the big bad Tampa Bay Lightning. You know, it's interesting. The two teams in Florida have represented the Stanley Cup Eastern champion in the last 5 years. So people say, well, what do you mean, you're going to play hockey in Florida? Yeah, that's right. The last 5 years, the Eastern champion has come from Florida, either Tampa or Sunrise, Florida with the Panthers. So, look, these guys are legit, just like Sergei Bobrovsky is legit. In fact, as a theme throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs, Bob proved to be strong in the crease every game. This guy is legit. Panthers goalie stopped 18 of 19 shots that he faced and had surrendered only 1 goal in the first 2 games of the series. So, look, there is no mystery as to what's going on here. This is a good old-fashioned ass-whooping of the Florida Panthers over the Edmonton Oilers. In fact, the Oilers don't even belong in this series as I see it. I mean, frankly, it's a little bit embarrassing when you look at it. You say, well, wait a minute. Why are the Oilers... Oh, that's right. They beat a very mediocre Peter DeBoer Dallas Stars team. And somehow they were able to do what? They were able to outlast the Vegas Golden Knights and an upstart Vancouver Canucks team. And so Edmonton has had a very, very suspect road to the Stanley Cup Finals. Unlike when you look at the Florida Panthers, and they had to bully their way past teams like Boston, the big bad Boston Bruins, and the President's Cup champion, the New York Rangers. That's the team with the best record. And they beat those teams handily. They beat them with very little challenge. In fact, the series against New York with Florida, and really it was 2 lucky bounces that gave the New York Rangers 2 wins, and those were overtime bounces. That's it. Because Florida dominated those games. In the 6 games they played against the New York Rangers, they dominated the Rangers in every aspect of the game. Outside of those overtime shots, 1 in each game, that was a 4-2 victory for Florida. And I have to tell you, folks, these guys are pissed off from last year when Vegas punched them in the face, stole their lunch money, and hoisted the cup in 5 games, and that one stings. Talk to any of those Florida Panthers players, they are still smarting over that one from last year, because it wasn't that they not only got beat, but they got their asses kicked sideways by a Vegas team that really doesn't play too much defense, and it was offense, offense, offense. So what Florida has learned here this time around in the Stanley Cup Finals is keep your opponents shooting from outside the blue lines. Don't let them shoot in the slot, anywhere between the circles, between the dots. Make the bad shots happen from the other team, from the bad angles. This way, their likelihood of success is a lot less. In fact, we had that conversation with Dave Jackson, and Dave is the rules analyst for ESPN Hockey. In fact, he is the rules analyst that appears on the Stanley Cup Finals on ABC for all games. If it goes 7, he'll be there for all 7 games. You heard some great analysis in the last game. But I have to tell you, Dave Jackson said it will be a long series. Of course, he can't say either way because he's an official. Actually, he was an official for 32 years in the National Hockey League. And all he does is interpret the rules for the fans that don't understand how the rules are interpreted in the first place. Whether something's a major penalty, a match penalty, a minor penalty, a game misconduct, 10-minute misconduct, why something is elbowing versus roughing versus boarding. And you can learn a lot from Dave Jackson. He is one of those guys that explains the rules very, very well. And you can catch Dave right here on the Sports Circus when he's not on the Stanley Cup Finals or in the Stanley Cup playoffs on ABC or ESPN. Of course, Dave always gets a nice round of applause. And Dave's one hell of a guy, too. And by the way, he's a really good golfer. So in case you've missed any of the episodes with Dave Jackson, go back to Apple or Spotify or whatnot and check out our previous shows that highlight Dave Jackson in the title line. And folks, you're going to learn something about hockey because he really explains things well. And he's a very easy to understand and easy to adhere to kind of guy. That's why ESPN has him working over there. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for this segment. We're going to come back with some news for the Arizona Coyotes in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Final one coming up here on the Circus.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, again, make sure you check out TheSportsCircus.com for upcoming guests or prior guests or recorded shows, all of our podcasts on all podcast platforms, and also make sure you stop by that partners page and check out one of our long-standing partners, and that's Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy, right near downtown. As a matter of fact, if you can't make it over there to get one of those great Italian beef sandwiches, they've been doing it since 1938, you can go to alsbeef.com. Check them out at alsbeef.com, or maybe you want to go to goldbelly.com, goldbelly.com, and just search for Al's Beef, Al's Beef, A-L-S Beef, Al's Beef. Tell you what, folks, it'll be one of the best food decisions you made in a long time. I like it. I get nothing for saying it. I just dig it. It's one of my favorites, always has been. And for the last 50-odd years, I'll tell you what, folks, it is that good. It kicks the crap out of the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. It's a garbage sandwich, in my opinion, the way they make it. The Philly cheesesteak is laughable. It's not even cooking. It's frying. They put some crappy piece of meat on a flat top. They spray some cheese whiz on it and put some onions on it, some peppers, and call it a day. Which, yeah, it's quick, it's fast, it's digestible, but it's not very good when it takes a day to actually make the beef for the Italian beef sandwich. And boy, is it good. If you know anything about it, check it out, folks. And also, make sure you check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook as well. All right. Sticking with hockey, covered the Stanley Cup Finals in the last segment. How about the Arizona Coyotes? What a conundrum. They're going from, well, first of all, they switched divisions. Go from the Pacific, then they go to the Central. I thought for sure the Coyotes were going to move to Houston and play in the Toyota Center, which they have a hockey-ready stadium where the Houston Aeros play. And they would be a natural rival for the Dallas Stars, which make a little bit of sense. However, the powers that be says, nah, we're not going to do that. No. Here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to move to Salt Lake City, and we're going to get rid of the Coyotes name, because remember, this was the original Winnipeg Jets, which then became the Phoenix Coyotes, which then became the Arizona Coyotes. Well, they're now going to move to Utah. They're not going to be the Utah Coyotes. We don't even know what they're going to be yet. Now, according to CBS Sports, Utah NHL franchise unveils a survey for new team name. Options include what I'm going to get to in just a moment. So the fans can vote on 20 different potential team names for the new NHL franchise. So it's not really a new franchise. It's the same franchise, just moving cities. So CBS says Utah's new NHL franchise has released a survey that lists 20 different team names that the fans will be able to vote on. Now, according to the four-letter network, those names include the Utah Frost, the Utah Ice, the Utah Powder, the Utah Mountaineers, the Utah Freeze, the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Black Diamonds. Of course, that's for a ski run. How about this one? How about the Utah Blast? Okay. Then we have the Utah Caribou, the Utah Blizzard. Seems kind of appropriate, seeing that the Avalanche is over in Colorado. Then you have a blizzard in Utah. How about the Utah Swarm? Right. Okay. Well, the reason they say that, of course, because they have a lot of bees over there. Hence, the Utah Hive. The Utah Hive. I think I'd probably vote for that one. Hold on. We have more here. The Utah Outlaws. Now, I don't really associate Utah, the state of Utah, with outlaws. Now, maybe I would associate that with, I don't know, it's just something from the old Wild West, right? From, I don't know, gold rush times, maybe in California, Nevada, or Arizona, or Texas, or even Colorado. I don't know. I mean, that seems to make a little sense. So the Utah Outlaws? Nah, I don't think so. How about the Utah Yeti? How about the Utah Squall? Like a squall line, apparently. How about the Utah Fury? The Utah Fury deserves a round of boos, and I'm trying to even understand this one. Why would they have the Utah Fury? I'm sorry, but that makes no sense. The Utah Glaciers. No comment. How about the Utah Canyons? So are their players canyons? Is that how that works? I mean, that's just terrible. In fact, that deserves a round of boos as well. The Utah Venom. Okay, so there are snakes in Utah. But that would be a little bit more appropriate for Arizona, don't you think? Or even California, because the politicians with all their venom. And of course, the Utah, just like in soccer, the Utah HC. Come on! The Utah HC. Hi, we are the HC from Utah. Come on. I'm sorry, but save that for soccer. That's kind of the sport that in this country most people don't care about. The Utah HC is obviously as bad as the Utah Hive or the Utah Fury. Better yet, the Utah Yeti. I mean, some of these are really bad. In fact, Ryan Smith, the owner of Utah's new NHL franchise, announced that the team's jerseys will say Utah on the front of them for the duration of the 2024 and 25 season. The new team, along with its logo and colors, will be unveiled in the 2025 and 2026 season. I guess in the same way that the Oakland A's moving to Sacramento as a stop along the way before they get to Las Vegas, before the stadium is done in a few years. So they play in the same place as the River Cats, the Sacramento River Cats, which is the San Francisco Giants AAA team in the Pacific Coast League. So the Utah well, apparently will be the team for all of next season. So it's expected there will be multiple rounds of voting for the new team name, given the large list of potential names. I mean, I love the fact that Seattle has a good name with the Kraken. I do like that. Release the Kraken! I like that. In fact, I would have loved to see Seattle named as the Sockeyes. I mean, that would have been, the Seattle Sockeyes would have been so appropriate. What a great name. But nonetheless, I'm good with the Kraken. So anyway, Smith, who also owns the Utah Jazz, oh, and there's the link, bought the Arizona Coyotes from Alex Marullo for $1.2 billion just a few months ago. In fact, upon purchasing the Coyotes, Smith announced that the team would be relocating to Salt Lake City and begin play in 2024 and 25. The Coyotes had called Arizona home since 1996 when the Winnipeg Jets, as I said, relocated to Phoenix. However, the Coyotes saw their lease at the Footprinter Center come to an end and had been playing their home games at a maximum capacity 5,000-seat Mullet Arena on the campus of Arizona State University. I mean, that in itself is a terrible situation. Can't make money that way. In fact, the new Utah NHL team will play its home games at the Delta Center, which is, of course, home to the Utah Jazz. And the team held a fan event last month in which they introduced the fan base to many of the team's players. Utah had already seen to fall in love with some of the Utah NHL franchise, as there are already 23,000 people who have paid for season ticket deposits following the move to Salt Lake City. And when the 2024 NHL Draft Lottery was held recently, the Utah NHL franchise just used an NHL logo with the word Utah as its logo. Utah obtained the number 6 pick in the draft that's upcoming, which of course is going to take place right here in fabulous Las Vegas over at the Sphere. So the Coyotes had a 36-41-5 record, an abysmal 77 points. During this season, it's no wonder they did not make the Stanley Cup playoffs. They were not ready. But you know, they have some decent players, but unfortunately, they just can't seem to put it together. So maybe in Utah, they'll be able to put it together. They've got an owner that has money, paid $1.2 billion for them. They have a stadium that they could fit a lot of fans in. So they're going to make some money. They'll make money in parking. They'll make money in concession. They'll make money in merch, right? And the players are going to make more money too, because the players will get a piece of the jerseys that the fans buy. So if your name is Joe Blow, then someone buys the Joe Blow jersey, and Joe Blow gets a fraction of the money for the jersey with his name, bearing his name on it. So the players will make a little bit of money too. And of course, the TV contract will be pretty good, needless to say. I'm not opposed to the Coyotes' move to Utah. I'm just a little confused as to why they didn't sell the team. Arizona, the owner didn't sell the team over to Houston, or basically move the team to Houston nonetheless. I just don't understand it, but then again, it's not for me to understand. I don't remember everything. I don't claim to know everything, but what I can tell you is that I'm on a need-to-know basis just like all of us here. So we don't really know what the hell's going to happen until it actually happens. Is it going to be good for the league? Well, it brings a team to Salt Lake, which is obviously a winter wonderland. Of course, you remember they had the Olympics there, I think in 2002, and that was up at, I think that was at Park City, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, a great ski town up there, but there is plenty of winter sports. That's why they have these names for all the ski runs, etc., like what the heck were they? They were the diamond, the black diamonds. That's for the ski runs, of course. Then they have the blizzard, the mountaineers, the powder. I don't like the frost, the ice. I don't like those either. I think it's probably going to come down to the blizzard will be one of the finalists. I believe maybe the glaciers might be a finalist, and you may actually see the mammoth as being a finalist. I don't think the black diamonds are going to get there, because we already have the Golden Knights. Golden Knights, Black Diamonds, and it sounds kind of fun, but I don't know if that's actually going to work. So you've got 4 names in there that are real possibilities, and you have others that just don't make any sense, like the Hockey Club, the Canyons, the Fury, the Yeti, the Squall, the Hive. The Swarm is kind of fun. But really, it's going to come down to those 4, and I really don't see it any other way. And my best guess is I had to pick top 2. I would probably pick the Blizzard as one of them, which makes sense because of the Avalanche, right? To white out the Avalanche, so to say. And I would argue that, probably, if I had to pick another one, I know I'm really on the spot here. Maybe the Glaciers. So I think it's the Blizzard or the Glaciers. Utah Glaciers, don't really like it, but I think the Blizzard's going to be the one. So you pick your own. Go to the website where you can vote on it as well, and you can pick your favorite team name. Maybe it's not your favorite team, but at least you can participate in the chaos to name an NHL franchise, or better yet, rename them. And who knows, maybe your pick will be the winner. And I'm picking the Blizzard. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.